Paula here with accompaniments where I help you out getting those side dishes with your main course. Today's accompaniment is going to go along with Sunday dinner, any dinner really, but Thanksgiving as well. It's going to be candied yams. It is sweet, yummy, it's comforting, and everybody's going to come back for seconds.
Simple ingredients here, but they add a lot of flavor. I got sweet potatoes, white sugar, brown sugar, nutmeg, cinnamon, vanilla, and butter.
This candy yam recipe is done completely on the stovetop. So I got a whole lot of butter. And yes, if you are from the South, that is a measurement. Ask your granny. She know what a whole lot of butter means. But I'll have all of the measurements listed in the description box along with the full recipe link. So I'm just going to get that butter melted and go ahead and add all of my sugar in. This is a whole lot of sugar. Same thing. But the thing is, two things. You can't have candied yams without the candy part of it. But also, I have a lot of potatoes. So going in with some dark brown sugar. And honestly, the taste doesn't change no matter if you use dark brown or light brown. I'm always a proponent of using whatever you have on hand. That's the way, the old school cooks did it, our soul food cooks did it, and it's the way I do it in my house because I got a lot of mouths to feed. So I just go with the flow. So I'm going to get this in and get it melted. And then I'll kind of just help this come along by doing a little stir here. Like I said, it does require a good amount of sugar to get candied yams. I'm going to go ahead and let that butter melt all the way down. This is melting down. And this is exactly what we want, but also watch the heat on this because you don't want it to scorch. So I have this over medium heat until the butter melts completely down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add a few little spices here that I like to have with my candy yams. So I got a little bit of cinnamon. And a little bit of nutmeg. I mean, come on. What is candy yams without nutmeg? I'm going to give this a stir. And then, you know what? From the looks of it, I may or may not add more butter. Let's see. See how this goes. I think we're going to do pretty good. Okay. I'm going to add my vanilla in more toward the end. So right now at this stage, I am going to add my sweet potatoes in and then fully coat them inside of the sugar and spices. So since I got so many here, I'm going to add a little bit at a time. And then also I have these cut in about 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide. But you can totally shape these the way that you want to. I have some half moon shapes, and then some of the smaller end of the potato I just have completely round. The shape is up to you, but you do want a good thickness because you don't want it to start breaking apart as you're cooking it. And some of it will. That's okay. Nobody's going to complain as long as it tastes good. I'm going to coat this and then keep going. So I am getting this tossed around. I got all 5 pounds of the potatoes in here. As always, you can scale this down to fit your family size. I have a lot because I'm telling you, everyone gets seconds of these. I also have a large family to feed. But I do want to mention, see, some of the sugar is starting to harden. That's okay. You're going to be tempted to add a little bit of water. If you do, only add a couple tablespoons. I'm not going to at this point. I'm still going to just keep coating it before I get it to simmer and then put a lid on. And the reason why is most people don't realize that there is actually a lot of water content in potatoes. And so as this cooks, a lot of the water is going to come out, and I don't want to steam my potatoes in a bunch of water. So that's why I'm just going to leave it. But I'm going to stir it, and then this will start to break up the sugar and melt into the potatoes as it cooks. Okay, I am just making sure that as the butter continues to melt with a little bit of water that's coming out of the potatoes, that it gets completely coated. As you can see the color on it, I can see it's starting to have this glaze look. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and add my vanilla in. And then I am going to bring this up to the simmer and put the lid on it. And then as we come back, now these are not cooked yet because I'm just getting started. As it starts to cook, we're going to be very gently in how we turn these over and stir them up in the pan so that we won't break apart our sweet potatoes. But I'm just getting the what's at the bottom and trying to move it on top so that everything, like I said, is being completely coated. Right, at this point, most of the clumps from my sugar has already dissolved. I am going to go ahead. It's kind of up to the simmer at the bottom. Most of the sweet potatoes, if not all, are coated in the sugar and spices. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and put my lid on. I'm going to let this go for about 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and check it. And then we're just going to keep doing this process of gently stirring in order to get this caramelized sugar on top of the potatoes as they cook through. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a stir. As you can see, it's a nice gentle bubble. So I am going to gently stir from the bottom and then move it on to the top in like a folding motion. And can you see all of that liquid? Look at that. We had no water in here. Look at all the liquid it's produced. And that's going to help it cook. I'm gonna keep folding this over. I'm gonna put the lid back on and then let it go another 10 minutes or so. It's been 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and check on this because like I said, the last time I checked on it, some of them were about halfway done. So, oh, you see still a gentle bubble, which I like, which lets me know it is caramelizing really well. What I don't want is for this to boil because it is really hard to impart flavor into vegetables when they're boiling. It'll cook them, they'll be done, but it's hard to get the flavors in them. And we want all of the spices and sugar and vanilla that we added to go all the way through these candied yams. I'm going to give it a gentle stir. And then at this point, what I think I'm going to do is kind of let it cook without the lid. Or maybe I'll partially put the lid because with the lid on, it is going to continue to steam. And I just want it to cook and caramelize at the same time. As you can see from where we started, I put no water in here at all. And look how much liquid is in here. I'm gonna press this down. And then at this point, we're just waiting on most of them, all of them to cook through. Now, again, I can see that some of them have already started to break a little bit, which is why we wanted to start with a larger size pieces so that it would not start to break apart on the edges before it's cooked all the way through. But that's okay. Like I said, nobody's going to complain. Everybody's going to eat these. So I'm going to press this down into my liquid, and then I'm going to go ahead and partially put the lid on here. And then I'm going to let this go another 5 minutes or so. This is still on a low heat. Okay, this has come up to a bubble. I went ahead, when I heard it come up to a boil, I took the lid off. I am going to let this simmer for an additional 5 minutes and then just give it a gentle stir. All right, so this is completely done. It is cooked and sweet and candied all the way through. It is soft and just delicious. I can't wait to have this next to my turkey. I am going to transfer this to a dish and then I'll show it. These ended up cooking about an hour, and I just kept checking and gently stirring for about every 5 minutes. And then prior to serving, I just like to take a little bit of the liquid that we cooked it in, that caramelized butter and liquid, and just kind of put it as a glaze on top.
Here you have the candied yams that will have them coming back for seconds. Thank you for tuning in and joining me in the kitchen today. If you enjoyed this recipe, go ahead and like it for me, and I will see you next time.